Today's guest is Ravi Teja, founder and CEO of Ayatt AI, a startup helping organizations use intelligent agents to support specific roles, streamline processes, and improve how work gets done. Ravi is a private equity-backed growth CEO and founder with more than 3 decades of experience building, scaling, and transforming global technology businesses across AI, SaaS, digital platforms, and digital transformation. He has helped scale businesses, improve profitability, expand globally, and lead companies through major mergers, acquisitions, and integrations. Most recently, Ravi served as chairman and CEO of Robosoft Technologies, a global digital experience and engineering company that has worked with major brands including Warner Brothers, Discovery, HP, ESPN, McDonald's, Disney, and Viacom. In this episode, we're talking about Ayatt AI, Ravi's agentic AI startup, and how his technology is helping organizations move beyond chatbots and simple tools. We'll explore how AI can observe, reason, recommend, and support action inside a business and what that means for leadership, decision-making, competitive advantage, and the future of successful companies. Ravi, welcome to the Create Brand Envy podcast.
Thank you, Nicole. We have been playing this for a long time. So I was
Yes, we've been
still,
catching,
yes.
was it tag, kind of trying to make it happen. You said to me when I first approached you that you were still in stealth mode, which I
That's
thought
true.
that was such an interesting way to phrase it.
Yes.
So, you have this like heavy tech background. How did this idea for Ayatt AI kind of surface in your career progression? And how did you go about having it, be private equity backed, which we had an episode, I think, a couple of years ago where we talked about different types of funding for a startup. Tell us your startup journey.
Yes. So just to clarify, my current startup is not private equity backed. My previous company, Robosoft, was private equity backed.
I apologize.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm still bootstrapping, so I will raise funding, and that's going to happen. You called me a technology person, and I was wondering, when did the last time I wrote code, I programmed? And to be fair, I wrote code back in 1991 when I was doing my engineering. I'm an electronics engineer, and that year it was Pascal and Fortran programming language. After that, I entered the technology industry but never coded. And the last I coded now is when I did my startup, which is Ayatt AI. And today, we as humans don't need to write code. The Claude Code or OpenAI's Codex or Cursor, any of these tools can write code based on the intent that I want to articulate, and I can tell what I want to create, and the code gets generated. So gone are the days where we are supposed to write code. We now review code, the code written by these AI agents, coding agents. I never thought that I could write code, and I can do that right now with the help of these coding agents. And, if you look at my website, www.ayatt.ai, I created it. I just gave the intent and it created. I'm a design thinker, so I understand a bit of design. And I said, this is the design I want. I'm like a less is more sort of a design person, and I could create my own website, productionize my own website, write my own code for some of the apps and prototypes and demos that I'm creating. So we've come a long way since 1991 to 35 years now, where I wrote code last time there. I was in the tech industry, but I was largely a business technology person. And now with a startup, I'm a single person startup. I have a few developers who are helping me. I've got friends who are helping me, loaning some of their software developers. I've earned some respect with my community, and they're helping me put my startup up to get the prototype and my first MVP, as they call it, the minimum viable product. And now it's up and running. I already have a handful of clients, and they are revenue paying clients, and
Very good.
it's great. And I thought I should reach the stage before I get in front of Nicole and have a talk about what's happening with my so-called stealth mode.
So, what was going on in stealth mode when you came up with this idea? Like, how did you identify the opportunity? Let's start with that.
Yes. Yeah. I think a good question, Nicole, because I ran Robosoft Technologies for 8 years. I was hired by the founder back in 2017. Founding company had private equity investment, and they thought they should get a professional CEO to run and scale the business. So back in 2017, I got hired. We really grew well. We scaled it. We got an investment banker and thought a good time for Robosoft to be sold. So the P exited, the founders exited in 2021. We got bought by a Japanese company, and we were building these, you name some of the brands, we were building these great mobile apps and OTT platforms and payment platforms and retail e-commerce platforms for global companies in the US, UK, Japan, India, and uh, uh, in 8 years we really did well. And then I thought, yeah, last year, August of 2025, that the world of technology is changing. We have been building software for human use, and it's now with generative AI like OpenAI and Anthropic and Grok and Perplexity. They're building generative AI platforms that can be used for creating AI agents, and software in the future will be built not just for humans, but more for AI agents. I thought good time for me to exit and create something of my own. I have a great network here in the US. I know all the decision makers, CTOs, CIOs, CEOs, and I realized that it's important that I equip myself with what's happening in the AI world. We call it artificial intelligence, and slowly it's moving to artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence, where AI will know more than collectively 8 billion people who exist on planet Earth.
I feel like I saw that movie already.
It looks scary, but sounds scary, but I believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, that train has left the station, like my last guest said.
Yes. So I thought I should build something. I've never been an entrepreneur myself. I've always worked for others. I've seen different technology eras. So back in 1991, 92, when I graduated from engineering, I saw that most of the technology was built on-prem. It was mainframes and legacy technology. Then came client-server technology. Then there was this whole thing about Y2K, where we had to convert 2 digits of year to 4 digits. Otherwise, systems won't understand, and planes were supposed to
Oh, I
fall.
remember Y2K.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember being, yeah, I remember Y2K.
Yes, and then came the dot-com era, where we started doing everything online. Then came the mobile era, where we started doing everything on mobile. And then was cloud and so many other technologies. I thought that all these 30 plus years I've worked for others, maybe there is no specific age to do a startup. Most of the startups today are done by these young college graduates, right? 22-year-old, 24-year-old.
Yeah, they look pretty
And
young to me sometimes. I'm like,
yeah.
what do you know
Yeah.
about this?
Yeah, but they are tech gurus, right? I mean, they love their technology. But what I bring to the table is my understanding of the domain when I'm building enterprise technology, and AI is transforming everything. So I thought maybe I'll work for myself. And strangely, uh, when we were in India, and I'm just 5 years here in the US, when we were in India, somebody told my wife, and in India you have these mystery tellers, and they just called her and said, you know what, your husband is going to start a company when he would be 55. So I'm giving away my age. I'm 55, and I just started my company. Uh, so it was written that I'm going to do something entrepreneurial at this age, and AI was the right timing for me, and I really equip myself and train myself. And today I'm being invited to speak in conferences. I'm a keynote speaker in Washington, D.C. In June. I'm talking about how AI knows better than all of us in our businesses, and that's the topic, and how leaders need to prepare for the AI era. So that's been my journey. And specific to AI, I'm building certain use cases and products. I'm going to talk about it while
Yes.
we go on. Yeah,
Okay. So to clarify, this is not private equity backed. This is you're backing this.
that's correct.
Okay. So you take
I will
this.
be, yes, I'll be raising funding with venture capitalists. The private equity people come into picture after a certain period of time. So they come in when you have a established business, you have at least some millions of dollars of business and customers. But initial rounds of what they call as pre-seed and seed, Series A and Series B funding, that's normally done by venture capitalists. They bet on an idea. The private equity guys don't really come betting on an idea. They bet on an organization that has already established itself, and then they take it to the next level. But VCs are the ones who back people or who back ideas.
Okay. So you already went to these venture capitalists. You gave them the pitch, the presentation, and they're like, "Yes, we're backing you."
Not
So
yet. Not
oh,
yet.
nice.
Not yet.
All right.
I'm
So
bootstrapping.
you're
So before I
okay.
go to them, I show them that I have traction, which I have right
Right.
now. So for
Kind
me,
of proof
again,
of
right time,
concept.
proof of concepts and production systems in place. Initially, anyone who backs you wants you to grind yourself and push yourself and make what we call as the product market fit. Is there a fit of what you're building in the marketplace? And if there is that fit, then you initially go to your well-wisher customers, ex-customers, ex-prospects, and they know you, and they say, "Hey, Ravi, if you're building this idea looks good, I can be your first guinea pig, if I can call them." And they trust you, and then you show the proof of concept as proof of value, and then you take it from 1 to 2 to 5. And then you say that now you want to hire people because you can't do it alone. And so my time
It's
has
where the
come
money.
to raise that VC funding.
Awesome. And then forgive me if I missed it, but where did you see the opportunity
Yeah.
to do what we're about to talk about?
Correct. So the AI opportunity all of us are experiencing, we have seen the ChatGPT moment 2-3 years ago, and that generative AI has moved into this enterprise world, as we call as agentic AI. And I've been reading about it, and I saw this as a great opportunity because everything now will be rewritten. All the software that we use is for human use, and now it will be rewritten for agentic use. AI agents will now use the software and they will do the transactions on our behalf. So software will be rewritten, and services organization like Robosoft, where I was, TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, where I was. Now the services to build software, when earlier when I required to build an app, if I require 100 people to build an app, today I can do it with 10 people. So that's the power of AI coding that's happening. And so even the services play where I used to bill based on person hour effort, how much hours of person hours I would spend on building the software. Today, that model of putting people on seats and claiming per hour pricing is going away. And now it'll all be about outcome-based pricing. So if I'm building a software, what sort of outcome is it generating for the client? Is it helping the client reduce cost or making revenue? So the services model is changing, the software model is changing. And that was the time I said, I think I need to do something. And you can't run. And for big organizations to cannibalize their own business, they have hundreds and thousands of software developers working on projects, and then you don't need all of them because you can do it with 1/5 or 1/10 of them. For big organizations to change, it'll be difficult. To make their elephants dance will be difficult. But for smaller companies, a startup like me, I have no past and I can build with 2 people, 3 people. And today they say that you can create a unicorn with just 10 people, a $1 billion valuation company with 10 people. So I
Yes.
saw that as a great opportunity. And being in the US, they say if you're not a startup tech entrepreneur, you've not made it. So my moment came. Somebody predicted, remember,
I was
a
gonna
few
say you
years
have to,
ago?
yeah, you have to, with the whole like the clairvoyance thing, there's a part of me that, of course wants to believe in the mystery of that, but then there's another part of me that's like the psychology, right? The one that's read the psychology book. I'm like, how much of that is suggestion and
Yes.
you're influenced by this idea. But anyways, I don't want to go off on a tangent. Okay, so speaking of unicorn, you're right. And you shared some interesting data with me where you had pulled the CEO Council of Tampa, and it was like, what's your current use of AI? And I could even intuitively predict the answers were, I think the majority, 90% of us understand AI as you enter a prompt, you get a response, maybe it'll spit out an Excel sheet, but we all understand it as something. I was speaking to somebody this weekend and they said it's like, using AI for your marketing is like having an intern that never really, that never really matures. And I know that that's not entirely true because I know you can train your model. So this person maybe had a more basic understanding, but what you are promising is, I think you have 7 layers to it. So when I think of what you're proposing, you're proposing a platform that provides AI agents that essentially replace humans in that are more role based, right? And not only that, but you're going so far as to say that the AI is going to actually not just suggest things, but actually do things for you. So it's actually actively executing on decisions that it's making completely independent. It's your tagline, which keeps like ringing over and over in my head. It's very powerful and provocative. It's when AI knows your business
Your
better than
business
you
better
do,
than you do.
which is, it's very provocative because as a, owner CEO, that's my responsibility to understand my business. And so when you're telling me that this computer, this artificial intelligence is going to know it better than me, it's very sexy and intriguing. So from a marketing standpoint, I think you nailed it. Explain to Ayatt AI and its
Yes.
capabilities.
Yes. So I call it you said talked about the 7 layers. I call it the AI nervous system. And these are the 7 nerves that combine to form the nervous system. The word ayat comes from a Indian language called Sanskrit. There's a word called swayat. Swayat means autonomous, self-dependent. And in that swayat, the swa means the self. And I consciously removed the swa because that means self. I didn't want agents to be self-dependent. I wanted agents to be still dependent on humans. So we are still at the helm. Agents will perform what we ask them to perform. And so Swayat became Ayat, and in other languages, Ayat also means miracle. So it had good meaning, and I thought it's easier to pronounce compared to Swayat, and Ayat is comparatively easy. We have a hotel chain called Hyatt, right? So you can call it Ayat. So I know it's
And it's
difficult.
Ayatt, sorry, it's AYATT.
I call it Ayat, so people can call it Ayat and Ayat, etc. But I don't correct them as long as they get the meaning. So that's where the company name comes from. It's registered here in the US. It's a C Corp Delaware company. As you rightly mentioned, when I did the poll, I'm part of the CEO Council here in the Tampa Bay. I live here in the Tampa Bay. Most of us leaders use AI personally and professionally as a chatbot. You ask something, it gives you the answer. Sometimes it hallucinates, sometimes it gives you the wrong answers, and you need to really, review it and correct it. But this is still a very limited use of what the capability of AI. And instead of just giving you answers and asking your questions in a reactive way, I today can give you predictions, insights about what's happening. So if I take an enterprise example, it can tell you, are your customers happy with what you're providing? Are they going to churn? Is your products delivering what they have actually promised? So all the key metrics in an organization, whether it's growth, efficiency, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, everything AI can able to predict based on past transactions and past behavior, and tell you where are the risks and where are the bottlenecks for a leader to take decisions. And it will tell in a very real-time manner. And I'll tell you later how that happens. But it can go beyond that. It can actually even suggest and recommend, while it predicts, it can also suggest and recommend that I think you as a CEO, you should pick up a phone and call these 5 customers because they are unhappy and they might churn. Because I just realized that none of your salespeople have met this customer or talked to this customer for the last 5 months. So you should be the one taking that charge and doing. So it can recommend and do things. And it can act. And we have seen even in our ChatGPT or Claude, if you give it access to your tools like your Gmail or your Outlook, it can actually not just write an email for you or suggest a draft, it can actually send it on your behalf if you give it permission to do it. So it can act by sending an email. And similarly, it can act by creating a CRM transaction or by creating a campaign and running that campaign on your behalf. And once you get feedback on those marketing campaigns, people respond to that, it can respond back saying that, thank you for responding to this campaign. Somebody will reach out from our organization and we will ship you a product, or can you make this payment? This is the payment link, etc. So depending upon the autonomy level you give to this agent can perform a lot more than what you believe it can. Anything in the digital space. So we're still, Nicole, you and I are talking about digital AI. We're not talking about physical AI. Physical AI are these physical robots or cars, like a self-driven car, like a Tesla is a physical AI example. But digital AI is anything that happens on our computers, on our laptops, by integrating into the IT systems, your CRM system, your ERP systems, your finance system. You can get almost anything get done through these agents. So that's the power that we have. And we then free up humans. You use the word, is AI agents replacing humans? I'm saying no. We humans, maybe some of us like doing the operational grunt work, but people like me who are more creative, we want to be freed up to do more creative stuff, more strategic, more judgmental, and more creative stuff. So I think can free us up to make that happen, because it can do all that analysis, that deep insights, that predictions, and we can then decide whether I should call that customer, whether I should change my plan, whether I change my strategy or change my product roadmap. All those decisions, I can do it as a human. I don't, we used to spend so much time doing our Excel analysis, creating PowerPoints, creating Word documents and proposals. We used to take days to do that. Now it can be done at, just give your intent, it can be done.
Right.
So I think that's the power with which we're moving forward. And I'm super excited with the take up of my initial few customers. And I think we'll see the world changing in front of us in the next 1-2 years.
Definitely. Okay. So we all understand, again, ChatGPT, the Claude, the basic stuff. So when you're describing all of this, I have a million questions popping in my head, which I'm sure our listener also is wondering. No, so number one question that I have, and we can work through like these 7 layers, because it sounds to me like your 7 layers addressed many of these concerns. Number one, so if AI is, let me rephrase that. How does AI plug into the different areas of your company to be able to notice across departments this client? So, this client hasn't been, followed up with, or this client hasn't refilled their prescription, right? In a healthcare case study, how does it plug into, because, different companies use a multitude of different softwares. How do you plug that in to have it kind of, receive?
Yes. Yeah, good question, Nicole. Our platform or any of these, uh, AI tools that you use, Gen AI tools that you use, they have the ability to plug into current IT systems through APIs, what we call as application programmable interface. And now there is a new terminology called MCPs, which is model control protocols. They give you the ability to these AI agents to plug into IT systems and scan the entire set of transactions that are already existing and give you a view of where your business is. If you plug into a finance ERP system, it'll tell you whether your revenue is on track compared to the goals that you have, whether your profits are on track compared to the goals that you have, because it can see all these transactions. Earlier, if I had asked my CFO to do that, he or she would have taken days to go into these systems and get the data out and then do the analysis and come back to me as a CEO and say that this is where our growth is, this is where our financial numbers are. And this AI can do it within minutes, if not seconds. What used to take days and weeks can now be done within seconds and minutes. And I have seen that the platforms that we are building are used by CEOs in their leadership meetings, in their management meetings every week or every month. They put their Ayatt AI dashboard up and ask them questions. So one of the product, Nicole, I'm building is called Matrix. Matrix is a digital chief of staff. So it's like a CEO's office, but in a digital form. And it knows, again, everything that a CEO wants to know. That product matrix has been given a certain task, roles, responsibilities, and KPIs, like we give it to any human. We give it to this AI agent. So the AI agent knows that this is what the CEO wants every day at 7 a.m. in the morning, and it gives that information on a command center sort of a environment on the CEO's laptop and tells the CEO that these are the 5 things that you wanted. This is the status of where we are in the company. Now, the CEO might have more questions. He wants to drill down. He or she wants to drill down, and it can ask more questions like we ask ChatGPT or Claude, that I understand that these 5 customers are not happy. You told me that based on your understanding of our CRM system that you're observing. Now, can you tell me why these customers are unhappy? And it will go back and tell why are these unhappy, because 2 of the customers, the product launch was delayed. Another customer, they had a question and we did not support. Another customer, we have not been in touch with that customer for the last 6 months. So it can give all that information at the click of a question and tell. So that's like a digital chief of staff. So that's how they know, because they are integrated into the IT system. That's why I call them digital AI. Once they have access to your Outlook, your Gmail, your ERP, your CRM, your finance, your HRMS, your project management systems, they know everything that's happening in the organization. Of course, they won't know that you and I went for a coffee. That the AI won't know, because that was done outside of the system. But if any transaction has been inputted, whether it's an email, whether it is a transaction, or even a document. I mean, we have thousands of documents in our organization, and those documents are in SharePoint or in a knowledge portal. You give access to this AI agent to those documents, and it can read
read it.
documents.
Yep,
Yeah,
it knows
it can read
exactly.
documents. It knows exactly what your policies are, what are, anything that is there in the documents can be. So they are quite intelligent, and they can take that data and intelligence and use a lot of insights and analysis and predictions and recommendations and act on our behalf.
When I think of, because everything you said, like, I totally get it and I understand in the concept. Like, again, sorry to chat GPT, because that's kind of, you're widely used. I'm thinking this is like a supercomputer chat GPT. One of the things that frustrates me about chat GPT, no matter how much I program, what is it called? When you just program like an app, whatever, where you set up a GPT, a custom GPT. Sorry. I feel like no matter how much I program it, it at some point has bad memory, or it just doesn't
Yes.
have like that wide contextual knowledge. Your program has a solution layer that addresses that. Can you explain
Yes.
it?
Yes. So memory is important because you don't want your agent to forget every time. It's like training a human. Of course, we humans also forget, but once we learn something, it's difficult for us to forget. We do. But agents have a specific way of creating memory for themselves. And whether it's my platform or any of the AI platforms that are being built, you you create something called skills. And skills are that every time I create a PowerPoint presentation or AI agent creates a PowerPoint presentation, you should use a specific color, brand color, logo, or anything. So you don't need to tell the agent every time that you use this particular color and this particular brand and this particular logo. We create a concept called a skill, which you say that this agent, like take my Matrix chief of staff agent, and the CEO wants the information to be provided to him or her in not more than 2 pages of a Word document or 5 slides of a PPT. And the CEO wants it in a certain color format, which is the brand of the company. They want the logo because the CEO wants to send it to the board or to the investors. So we tell the agent that this is a skill that you use, and that skill has capabilities of understanding color, logos, and number of slides or number of pages. And every time you ask, the CEO asks the agent or the chief of staff, create this letter that I want to send it to, a note that I want to send it to the board, it uses those particular skills. So that's how you create memory within the AI agent. And even in your ChatGPT, and I can tell you after this podcast how to create memory within your own ChatGPT
Good,
environment.
thank you.
Yeah. So that you don't need to remind it every time, you plan to do something. So
Well, I
do
think
that.
like because I can add some information, but I think that over time and I've done this over it's like, commit this to memory and then it says updating GPT. I still feel like just contextually at large, it does not, I haven't seen it yet match the capability of a really intelligent human. Like when you're training a new employee and they're just like, they're on the ball, they're remembering everything, they're really thinking, they're fully present. Like I haven't had that experience yet. And that's kind of the experience that you're promising with AI, that it's basically like this, like an A player that basically works 24/7. So like, this ideal, you know, perfect human machine. The other like huge concern that bubbles up when you talk about this agentic AI sending emails on my behalf, transferring money on my behalf, doing things on my behalf, it terrifies me because, if he's sending an email and my name's on it and it's making a mistake, where it just terrifies, because you said, the human always stays in control, but then when you say that it's doing things for me, now I'm not really in control because we've all seen AI hallucinate. How does your software address that? And I'm
Yes.
sorry for calling it a software. It's just a habit. I don't know that it's
Oh, yes,
is
it
it
is
a
a software.
software? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
All
Yeah,
right.
it is a software.
I just figured
Yeah.
we were past software,
No, it's
Software
a
is like so 2000s or whatever, or 90s.
Yeah, no, it's still a software. The way we trust humans, we take time to trust our own new recruits in a corporate environment, same as in our personal environment, same as with AI agents. So we will not give them power to do whatever they want till the time we trust them, till the time we are convinced that they won't hallucinate. So every time they have to send an email, as a small example, they come to you for approval. This is the draft that I've created. And as I said, the draft that they will create for me versus the draft that they'll create for you for the same sort of a context, that can be different because they know me better of who I am and they know you better and what your language, what your grammar, your colors, your way of communicating is different. And we can train these AI agents to do that way. And initially, we will never give them autonomy. We've got 5 levels of autonomy in our system. So one is it can only give me information of what I asked for. So that's the lowest level of autonomy. Then it can recommend something or predict something. Then it can recommend something. Then it can escalate it to me. And then it wants to do something, but with my approval, or it is fully autonomous. It doesn't need my approval. So wherever there is financial transactions involved, wherever there is high level of risk and customer facing stuff involved, I would not give them full autonomy. I would always ask them to reach out to me. So they will not be able to do anything without my approval. So they will do most of the 80% of the work that I would have done it manually, But now they would do it. And for the remaining 20%, I will correct it. I would retrain it so that the next time it moves from 80% to 82%. So it keeps learning and it reaches at a stage where I'm 100% confident that it is good enough to be on its own. I would allow it to on its own. We have not reached that stage yet. Most people, that's why I'm saying humans are still in the loop or humans are still at the helm. So we will give away lower level, non-risky transactions to be done autonomously,
Right.
but not the high risk and financial related transactions.
Got it. Got it. And then what about privacy concerns? There's always, whenever the last episode we did was with an attorney, and she warned a lot about the use of, uploading confidential company information.
Yes.
Your software's begging for confidential company information to be able to function. How are you addressing data and privacy concerns across the board?
Yes. So in the enterprise space, every organization, and rightly so, are very clear that their data should not go up in the cloud and available in the public domain for everybody else's consumption. So there is a clear button which is always in the mode of not sharing any of our confidential data. It'll remain within the enterprise space. Yes. So that button is always on to be in the data remains within the organization. For any platform, whether it's Ayatt AI or any such platforms, our brain is still the LLMs that you and I use in our consumer space. We still, although Ayatt AI is LLM agnostic, we can work with any LLM, like what we call as frontier models, like OpenAI's frontier model or Anthropic's frontier model or Google's frontier model like Gemini. We all need those LLMs. So we are not in the business of creating our own LLM. We have to use and each of these LLMs are getting better at understanding. But using them in the enterprise context, it is possible to make that data available only in the enterprise, within the enterprise. And even within the enterprise, it's possible that if you and I are colleagues, I can't snoop into your email system. And my agent or my chief of staff agent cannot snoop into my colleague's email system because that's confidential too. So all those guardrails, security are in place. Another thing that's also in place is what we call as audit trail. Because if AI is doing so much at such speed, you want to know what happened at 7:01 a.m. and what happened at 7:30 a.m. Between that, what changed, what sort of actions AI did, and all that. So that audit trail is also important. So we have
Yeah.
audit trail also within our platforms.
Yeah, that reminds me, even a regular employee sometimes can kind of take a left turn and go in the wrong direction. And then just, if they're not, if they're not experienced and they're not checking in, they just keep going into the woods in the wrong direction, and then you have to kind of like, reel them back in. I'm also thinking of that too. Like, you've got this like fully autonomous AI doing things on its own. And once it makes a wrong turn and it just keeps going down that path, do we just like
Yes.
hit an undo button, like from this point forward, undo, fix it, and then go again?
Possible. So at least we'll know what has happened and where did it go wrong. Or can we reach a stage that, the last 6 steps that it took, can we undo that? If it was really those bad 6 steps that happened, can we undo that? I got a good feature idea just because of our discussion right now. So maybe I'll add it to my feature list.
I won't ask for royalties. No, that's awesome. I mean, it sounds very promising, and you're right. Like, you can do so much more now with such fewer employees. And you gave the coding example. I listened to a podcast recently where it was talking a specific coder example where, they're not coding anymore. And what that does is it frees them up to think more conceptually, right? More big picture thinking. One of the thoughts and concerns that comes up when I think of that relates to another episode I did recently with Dr. Shane Smith from USF, where he said,
I know Shade Smith.
actually, it's not. I might just said Shane. It's not Shane Smith. It's Shane. I know Shane Smith as well, but
Yes.
it's Dr. Shane Combs from
Okay.
USF. Sorry, just Shane's. It just rolled out. But so he was saying, what he was warning was, if you rely so much on AI, to take out like the menial entry level jobs, long term, you're going to lose your leadership workforce. Like you're
Yes.
not going to, because what you discussed in terms of being able to approve or make refinements, like that is a skill that you build up in your later ages in life when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, because you suffered through the learning curve of your 20s and 30s of being an intern or being a rookie at your job and having mentors to take you under their wing and making mistakes and learning from them. So that's what has given you the discernment to now look at code and go, that's not going to play out well. I'm going to fix it. So if we project this future where, everyone now is no longer, doing that dirty work and they're just focusing on higher level stuff, what does happen to that, to those young people coming in that are not having that kind of exposure? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, Nicole, my view is that with what's happening in the technology space, and especially with AI, we're going to create future leaders much more faster because we're freeing these young interns, graduates. Remember those days where we had to learn the tables, 1 twos are 2, 2 twos are 4, 3 twos are 6, and then we had calculators. And remember those days where we had to create our own proposals on paper, and then we had Word document and PPTs, etc. It freed us up with these tools, free us up with all these high-end operational grunt work. So my belief is that organizations will still hire interns. And those interns, the reason I'm saying that they will become leaders much more faster, because now they're learning on decision making, how to use the data, how to use the insights, how to make decisions, how to create plans, how to create strategies, more that humans are supposed to do. And that's why they will learn all the tacit stuff from experienced people like you and me. If we hire those interns, they will see how Nicole is creating a business, how she's negotiating with clients, how she's making her clients win. This AI cannot do. AI can do all the other stuff. It can create campaigns, it can run campaigns, it can tell you what is the ROI on these campaigns. But what it cannot do is human judgment, human decision making. These interns will be freed up to observe us making those decisions, experienced people, and they will be faster leaders and they'll become leaders much more faster. So I'm more positive than most of my other peers.
If you're watching the YouTube version, because this podcast is being streamed audio only everywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, but I'm also doing a YouTube stream as well if you wanted to view our facial expressions and reactions, right? They say 90% of communication is nonverbal.
Yes.
So at the minute Ravi started answering, I had this huge smirk on my face, Ravi, because you nailed it. That's exactly what Dr. Combs said, that you should be promoting interns and new hires quicker for that. I mean, you nailed it. You said exactly what he said. He said you got to give them you're going to give them promotions quicker. They're going to rise up the ranks a lot quicker. And so, and that ties into one of your value propositions for Ayatt AI, which is that in the future, the companies that win are going to be based on speed of decisions. Can you clarify that?
Yes. So what used to take me days and weeks, today I can do it in seconds and minutes. If, I just came out of a call with one of my clients or prospects and they said, demo looks good, everything looks fine, what's the price? Can you put in a proposal? I would have, in my earlier days, given it to my business analyst or my proposal expert or my pre-sales team. I've had to give a dump of everything that I understood from my prospect, and they would go back and create it. They'll create a version 1. They'll take their own sweet time. They might have templates to it, and this back and forth would go on for 4 or 5 days. And now, within 4 to 5 minutes, my proposal was ready. I have a proposal creating agent, and I give the minutes of meeting or the transcript of my call with the client, and it creates a proposal within a few minutes. And it is almost 90% right. The last 10% is, what's the price? Am I giving a special discount because these are my earlier customers? Timeline. Does the client want it within 4 weeks or within 6 weeks? Can I adjust that? And what are the taxes applicable, etc. So that's the speed at which, because you now have information at your doorstep, at your fingertips, at this click of a button, and not just the information, but the analysis and the predictions and the recommendations that the whole versioning from version 2.1 to version 10 can now be done within, which used to take days, can now be done within a few minutes. So that's the speed. If proposal making example is one, then imagine what can happen. I mean, if you have to run a campaign and send an email, I know we can still do it through certain email tools, but whom to target, which persona to target, which customer segment to target, and what sort of campaign creatives we need to develop, what needs to be sent, what content needs to be sent. These were plannings that used to take days and weeks, and now can be done within a few minutes and hours. And that's why speed becomes important. When you have access to, there's no perfect data and perfect information at any point of time. You will never have 100% of what you need. But the speed at which AI can give you and get you access to it, I think decision making is the only bottleneck. I mean, I can sit on that data and do nothing as a human, but the fact that I have access to it, I can make decisions much more faster. So speed is the biggest advantage in this era.
Companies that move quickly
Absolutely.
are going to be the winners. Sounds to me like with AI, I can build an entire team, right? Just build the entire company, right? Instead of typing up job descriptions and expectations and posting it online and reviewing candidates. Sounds like I can just sit down and build my perfect human. Am I
Yes.
far off?
No, you're not. You're not. So digital employees and biological employees working together.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never have an only digital employee company. That's never going to happen.
The job descriptions of the future are going to be, we're seeking a person to manage 5 agents.
That's correct.
And so that they would be overseeing your job. Oh yeah, my job. So the recent college graduate's job is going to be to oversee, adherence and compliance of 5 digital employees that are not human. They're agentic.
Correct.
What do we call them?
Correct. And
Bots.
remember, you can only delegate responsibility, not accountability. So whoever is managing those AI agents is still accountable. And
And that's their job, to be
yeah,
accountable for
yeah,
the
yeah.
output.
That's true. That's true.
If you were giving advice to a recent college graduate or somebody that's graduating high school thinking about what their major should be, you're at the
Yes.
forefront creating, right, the future. What would you tell them to study? What do they need to focus on?
I think they should follow their passion, whatever they're passionate about. If you take my daughter, she's passionate about healthcare and women's health. So she's done her master's in health policy and public health. My son is passionate about filmmaking and film direction. So they should definitely pursue their passions and within their own domains, whether it's healthcare in my daughter's case, or whether it's film production in my son's case, whether it's my wife running IT projects. She's an IT program manager. She needs project management help or program management help, whether it's me as an entrepreneur or whether you as an entrepreneur, as a CEO. We all need to pursue our own passions, but within those, and I'm telling this to the budding graduates, students also, that pursue what you like, but see the impact of AI within that domain and be an AI aware and become an AI expert of the utilization and the impact of AI in that particular domain, so that you do most of the creative stuff and give all the boring stuff to your AI agents. So I think AI is impacting every domain and every vertical in the world, and whatever you pursue. So you don't need to be a computer engineer, or you don't need to be a data engineer or an AI engineer. You don't need to be expert in computers or software or AI or data. You can pursue whatever you want, but see the impact of AI in your business and be aware of that. As long as that happens, again, it's a cliche statement that AI will not replace humans. AI will replace humans who are not equipped with AI. So that's the my final word advice to students.
I agree. And I'm hearing a lot of like, oh, well, I chose to go into the trades because AI will never take my job. But you're right. I think that the plumbing company that will succeed, I mean, is a company that can take a picture and tell AI, like, help me out here, help me
Correct.
troubleshoot this quicker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And maybe there'll be physical AI with plumbers, physical plumbers. You never know Elon Musk, right? He can come with
Well, I'm
physical
sure.
plumbers.
I'm sure one day I'll have a robot. I've said this in previous episodes before. I just cannot emphasize, like, I feel like I'm living a present that when I say I already saw this movie, I'm not kidding. I feel like I've already watched this movie like 10 years ago. Have you ever seen or heard of the show Humans?
Yes.
Okay. So you saw
Uh,
where it's all
yeah, yeah,
bots,
yeah.
right? And
Yes.
then it was something, the plot was something about sentient, a scientist made like 5 sentient humans, which was unethical, but they were using these bots as like, adult elderly companions and just general helpers around the house. And I'm seeing these little, very stiff robots, folding clothes and whatnot. But
Yes.
I feel like before I leave this planet, we're going to have an AI companion in the house, which is
Absolutely.
super creepy. And what's hilarious is that Humans, I'm going to look it up real quick, but that is old. That is an old show. Autocorrect is like fixing it to Humana. Humans TV show. There it is. Humans TV series. This
Yes.
is from 2015 was when that show launched. So that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10
They could
years
predict.
ago. Yeah. So anyways, I've recommended it before. All right. How can people get in touch with you, Ravi?
Great. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's the only social media platform. But my email, it's also on my website, www.ayatt.ai, ayatt.ai. I was so naive. I put my phone number, mobile number on my website, and my children said, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't put your mobile
I
number.
I even your email is very bad. You're gonna
Okay.
get lots of junk mail. Oh my God. They have, this. They have like scrapers, like
Yes.
bots that scrape the website for emails.
Yes, but I put my email, and yeah, that's the best way to get in touch. Otherwise, LinkedIn is good, and I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I have my own newsletters. I recommend
Yes.
people subscribe to my newsletters. I'm talking about the impact of on leaders in a AI shaped world, and I almost have a newsletter every 2 weeks. And yeah, that's the best way. And I'm quite active. I meet people. I'm quite social, especially in the Tampa Bay area. You and I have met
In a social setting.
in a social setting. Yes, and that's the best way, right? We still need to
Yes.
meet in person.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
when
best
it
way.
comes to like, innovation and, what to do, there's so much, work from home, for sitting in front of a computer, interacting like that. There's this huge trend for in-person experiences and, social opportunities. We don't stop being human and having totally human, core needs. So that's always, so if you're out and about town in the Tampa Bay area and you run into Ravi, you say, hey, I heard you on the Create Brand Envy podcast.
Yes,
Nice to meet you. Just wanted to introduce myself. Well, Ravi,
absolutely.
thank you so much. This has been a wonderful exploration of the future and learning so much from your own entrepreneurial journey. I need to, when I go to India, I've got to find the Oracle and get my future read.
Yes,
I had
I
no
will take you to
idea.
that place. I'll
Oh,
take you to that place.
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Thank you, Nicole. Pleasure. It was really fun talking to you.